Okay, today we are going to discuss about environmental engineering, what that is. So most of you from Department of Environmental Engineering, right? Some of you the business or other major, I believe, but mostly. Okay, so we hit the discussion and discourse, how we reveal, because we are facing with a very difficult situation in environmental engineering, and you decide. Okay, I decide, and many persons worry about the future of environmental engineering. So when you come to when we went into the conference 10 years ago, so for example, there are persons really interested and care about environmental engineering with their major, even if they are major in chemical engineering, which is very hot right now, recently, with the topic of bioengineering and other chemical engineering, classical I mean. But 10 years ago, many persons from chemical engineering, biological engineering, so they all get together in a conference to discuss about the environment. But now they return to their area. Okay, right now environmental engineering, I think, get lost, I believe. But still we need environmental engineering, of course. But we have to think this area of academic and knowledge and know-how all over again to prepare yourself to contribute to our society. Otherwise, so you always seek for your job, and someone asks you to do some project, but they lose their energy and motivation, so you abandon sometimes. Okay, that's why we discussed this one. Very, okay, the little opportunity, but we start all over again. Think of this topic. Okay, so today, so we are discussing about environmental engineering. And next week, so next week, Tuesday, so we open our the site with the help of environmentalism. So there are big difference between environmental engineering and environmentalism. Under crisis, climate change, crisis of ecology and nature and energy and all over again. Okay, so so just a tip. Okay, who is the first person to think of this environmentalism long time ago? Do you know? No. Okay. You may have a different idea, different opinion, but generally accepted idea. The point? William Wordsworth is the first person. Okay, so in UK, so please imagine long time ago in Britain. Okay, so they began the first evolutions. After that, only couple of decades, the land of UK, transformed from agricultural and the forest area into city. Imagine you are a poet, Jean, very sensitive persons to look at the natures, how those are deteriorated out of industrializations. So he walked almost 300,000 kilometers in his life. So calculate and come up with some calculation with me. So I calculated roughly. If you walk 20 kilometers a day, it will take 30 years. Almost 30 years. William Wordsworth worked every day about 20 kilometers to look at his land, okay, ruined, abandoned. And then, after walking, at the end of the day, he wrote a poem and published it. To tell the people wake up with this idea. And then couple of event, the couple of idea, the movement, okay, occur with the name of environmentalism. So we will get to that next week about this one. So a lot of the women, the female environmentalists actually contribute. So that's I think a very interesting topic, even with this climate change. So you know the very young lady from European country, right? Greta Thunberg, for example. So then we get to that, how we combine environmental engineering and science with this environmentalisms. Environmentalisms may occur to you some kind of a strike, some kind of a blocking, right? But we would like to actually highlight this movement of environmentalism into our modern society. So that's it. And how about the ethics? So environmental ethics are special. The climate change is morally right. Using nuclear power, for example, so very hot topic, right now in Korea. Someone said nuclear power is inevitable, but someone actually very strongly opposed to use this nuclear power due to waste out of those nuclear resources. So how will you actually get you ready for this discussion? Okay. And climate change, for example, someone mentioned we have to use some idea, for example, carbon neutral, 탄소 중립, carbon neutral, carbon tax, carbon trade, for example, to solve climate change. Have you thought about these types of attempt to solve climate change? Why we have a climate change crisis? Why we have? Some country, especially developed country, use a lot of the fossil fuel to emit carbon dioxide and methane into atmosphere, come up with this climate crisis. And then they developed this idea of carbon neutral. So they would like to trade. Okay? Do you think sensible? They still talking about the money and currency, economic and efficiencies. So it looks like a red herring, I believe. Who knows actually? So then we discuss this. Is it sensible? Is it ethically right and morally right? Okay, as environmental engineer. So we discussed to that. And then lastly, the issue of a notch. So you know the notch, right? So Nobel Prize in economics, from University of Chicago. So Professor Thaler introduced this theory to change the behavior of a human mind, human culture, human ethics. So he proposed a theory about notch. Notch means some kind of this one, right? So if you have a problem, of the person you discuss about to do the project, for example. So your friend, your colleagues has the difficulties to collaborate with you, and how your reaction. Do you bring him or her? If I have a problem with you in this class, you don't want to study. What's my tactics, my solution? So I may say, you're supposed to have a F, okay? Kind of scold you over this result. So you may be fearful of those results out of your inactive participation in this the class. But Professor Thaler, with this the idea theory of a notch, he has a different idea. So if you use the praise and incentive of scholarship, incentive of degree, incentive of many different things, especially through money, and then the people may be ready to be a change towards the positive direction, but they return to all over again every time when they are satisfied with this incentive. Next time, with the same consequence, same situations, they demand the similar incentive, similar praise, prize, for example. But Professor Thaler, with this theory of notch, he suggests us, recommends us to design our society with some tools. Somebody or most of the body, they do not recognize what kind of design to be guided by within the society, to be guided toward the positive side. Instead, if you actually recognize some way, okay, and then, especially in communication, especially we are get to then somewhere between and this one, we are going to discuss about the communication. But okay, nudge means we have to design our society so that the people recognize some direction to be achieved in an ethical way, even under unconscious the environment. So for example, let me take one example. Okay. So we have a urine toilet inside the toilet, especially for male. Okay. So there are sentences. If you actually drop your urine the floor, so the cleaner, okay, generally female cleaner, very hard time to clean that up. Okay, they ask to close enough not to drop your urine, right? But logic theory mentioned that you don't have to use those sentences. The first time it works, but next time, so they ignore. There are a lot of sentences around us. So somebody mentions you study hard. Somebody mentions you don't want to use plastic. Otherwise, our Mother Earth deteriorated sometimes and actually collapsed. Balance. But if you design there's a toilet properly in the flow, so you mentioned you probably designed the stepping positions, so nobody wants to get away from those designs, so that they actually in conscious way never drop their urine inside the toilet. Many different ideas about this one. Even in economic system, somebody design currency very properly, the people want to use those currency to promote the carbon neutral, for example. If you design properly, that's the nudging theory. Okay, so we are get to that and okay. So today, what is environment? What is environment? So with this, this is another published book. So I combined this one out of my lecture, couple of different lectures. So you may refer to a couple of chapters to understand this environmental engineering. Okay, please look at contents. Please look at the chapter 5. Okay, today we are going to discuss these issues of a system and the environment. In chapter 7, humanity and postmodernism. Okay, to some degree related to today and the next class. Okay, chapter 21, ethics, about ethics. Even sometimes we would like to take ethical idea in terms of devil. Even devils. Devil, we would like to, so we have to, I believe, we have to define what devil is. And nudge theory, we don't have a nudge theory here, but the couple of chapters have this idea, especially in digital era. Is there anyone to discuss and a big difference between the analog and digital technology? Someone has an idea. What's the big difference between digital and analog technology? 아날로그와 디지털의 가장 큰 차이가 뭐죠? What's the big difference between digital and analog? Why do we need to have this idea as environmental engineer in digital era? Do you think we have to prepare for artificial intelligence and machine learning and deep learning? Of course, you have to study, of course. But to prepare yourself in a digital society, we have to understand what digital is. That's very important, I believe. We will get to that under a couple of ideas the following weeks, because the value in modern society out of digital technology, digital things is a value, especially standard of value. Okay, so that's why. In 1989, what happened this year? Do you remember? You burn after this, right? You don't remember. Okay. You are not there in that time. What happened this year? What happened this year? Can you guess? So professor from Oxford in UK, one professor named Timothy Bernard-Lee, he invented what? World Wide Web. So he invented this World Wide Web using language of HTML, hypertext markup. language. So you use a code, you use some the program language, for example, Fortran, Pascal Basics, and many different languages to program the code to be implemented under logic to make a virtual world this time. But he used HTML. What's the big difference between HTML and other normal the computer language? Is that HTML, there is no meaning at all. Okay, if you look at the basic and the Python, for examples, there are meaning. So if you program the delete computer language, actually computer follow your command to delete something, right? But HTML, so if you look at the HTML language, there is no meaning at all. So we called this the language as what? Non-hermeneutic language. There is no meaning at all. But this characteristic of this the computer language is that if you combine the certain value occur. But in analog, long time ago, before 1989, even in computer world, even in societal life, economic life, philosophical life, there are value. And then people come together, right? The still works. Here is the UNIST. Here is a university which is very good in publication, in scholarship, and many different things. There is value. And then you came to study and to learn something in this the society, right? So value is still there. Value is already there. You came to study. But Professor Bernard Lee from Oxford, he developed new words, like a metaverse types of word. There is no value at all. There is no fixed value at all. But if you come together, the value show up. Okay? Do you understand this the logic? This is very important, I believe. This is a digital logic. Digital means, of course, there are other definitions, I believe, but this is very important distinctions. There is no value, okay, fixed. There is nothing to learn, for you to learn, to be something. But simply you get together. You get together. There are the value. How about YouTube? There is a value? Of course there are value, but logically, people actually click. Other person click. And then value shows up, right? Suddenly. You don't feel? Okay, this is very important, I believe, to understand even environmental engineering. Right now, so we have a fixed value, the fixed know-how in this with the water, with the soil, with the air, and find the particle. And then, this is very important, someone mentioned, special government in UN, okay, organizations. They set up, build the value, and then they suggest the people to follow this the value. But world change, paradigm, the framework of the world change. There is no value to fix. Another example, who made the carbon tax? Who made the carbon tax? Idea of carbon tax? UN, right? And you never, and I never worry about or criticize where real value of the carbon tax, carbon trade. Carbon, just a short idea, okay, in Korea. 뭐 카본 텍스를 누가 만들었어요? 이 유엔이라든지 미국 이런 사람들이 만들었죠, 그죠? 근데 우리는 카본 텍스 참 좋은 거다. 탄소 중립 참 좋은 거다. 이렇게 믿잖아요. 이걸 잘 하면 기후 변화가 해결되겠지. 이렇게 믿고 있잖아요, 우리는. 누군가가 이거는 굉장히 좋은 거다라고 만들어 놓은 거를 우리는 따르는 거죠. 거기에 대해서 잘 의심은 안 해요. 근데 디지털은 그런 게 아니라요. 한번 다시 생각해 볼 필요가 있다는 거예요. 사람들이 모여야 거기에서 가치와 지식이 생긴다는 거예요. 이게 이 버나들이라는 옥스포드의 영국의 교수가 만들어낸 세상이에요. 이 이전과 이 이유가 확 다른 이유죠. That's why, okay, the persons, mankind, burn after this year, we call digital generations like you. Digital generations think differently from older generation like me. So we, in school, in society, in community, so we believe there is value and then we have to go there, right? But the digital generations, so someone mentions, here is value, here is moral, here is ethic to be followed and just to come out. To hear, to achieve the victory of the value, no, you don't move. You never agree as digital generations. Instead, if you feel happy, if you feel sad, if you agree, and you came to agreement to be community and group, and then new value shows up. That's very important, I believe, under many different crises of ecology and climate change, water, and 미세먼지, fine article. So you feel this is wrong, unethically, and then you suddenly show up, get together to discuss about, and then the new method with value shows up automatically in a natural way, in ecological way, and then you develop a new currency, for example. Right now, we are using the fiscal money. Okay. The money published by government. Do why do we have to use a currency from government? Okay. We never have a conspiracy with this one. But someone mentioned, or someone has a different idea to make a new currency, for example, Bitcoin, right? Why? Why Satoshi, right? Satoshi. He developed a new currency of Bitcoin to make money. Okay, of course, it possibly. But I think I think a certain team, so they developed a new currency with the logic of the blockchain to be against the government money. Government money is still good. Dollar, yen, and won, Korean won, is the standard of our value. Here is the value. Then you have to use this value to solve climate change, economic crisis, the lack of a job, digital society. Who decide the value right now? Who decide important pivotal major value of this one? Government, right? So I'm not against the government, but we would like to think of this one, especially in a digital way. We are not revolutionists, right? Revolutionists. I'm not against the government, or I'm not against the UN, but would like to think in different way to shift the paradigm of this one. So if you design the new money and new currency, I'm not talking about the blockchain money, but if you design very smart money, and then the people willing to use your money in different way to make our society better than ever, so with your money designed for good needs, nobody be rich, nobody be poor. If you use money, so if your usage of the specially designed money by yourself and help African person, help the Ukraine, nuts, right? If you use even in conscious way, then simply using money help the Ukraine and African person and Indonesian. So that's the, I think, environmental engineer I would like to insist. So that's the whole background of my discussion of this one. Once again, please come back to where we started with this topic, with the environment. What is environment? What is environment? Okay, everyone, anyone? What is environment to you? As environmental engineers, and you never define environment? What is environment? Yes? Surroundings, yes. Very good. Okay. So in this class, what is environment? To our class. What surrounds us? Students is actually not the surrounding. So you are major element of this one. Your subjects. 주체도 주체. We are not the surrounding person. We communicate right now with this class. So my question is, what could be environment for our class?
Classroom.
Classroom, okay. Classroom is environment. So they support us. Okay, good. What else? Yeah? Desk, okay. Okay. So further, a little bit further.
Air.
Fair? What is fair?
Air.
Oh, air. Okay, air and water, soil. What else? How about your parent? How about your parent? They actually part of, do you think they are, your parents are our class member? No. But they actually influence you, right? Credit of your parents, right? 부모 chance. Their environment. How about our president? Eunice the president. He is environment. Okay. How about the government? Government is part of our classroom? No. Everything is environment. So if you inversely we think of these situations, government discuss about the future of Korea, future of Earth. Okay, if you take you and me, the public, as an environment, what do you mean by that? They never actually give opportunity to be a part of their renovations, their policy. You understand? How about the UN? They discuss about climate change. Climate change. To develop the idea of carbon tax and carbon neutrals, many different things in New York. But they never give us okay, opportunity to be part of those collaborations. That instead they developed carbon neutral, carbon tax, and then spread out. Please, this is very important issue, important idea, and then you have to keep, you have to maintain, you have to follow this policy. Otherwise, you don't have any the profit out of this one, right? That's the rules our country right now, our world right now. And then, so take another example for you. Education system. Okay, that's the previously we took example of a UN system, right? Between government. If you remember the full name of IPCC, what is it? International Panel of Climate Crisis. Intergovernmental panel. So IPCC is very important organization, but they never give us to discuss about climate change. But they only care about what? Government. Government, again, discussion with the government, between governments, there is no part for us to be part of that to give opinion to them, right? So we are environment for them. And the second example is environment, education system. Education system. Inside the system, okay, inside the system operates in an effective way through communication. Through communication. Without communication, there's no system at all, right? Even if you have very valuable things, property, without sharing through communication to other persons, there's no system at all. If you receive some information through communications, so we establish system. The communication needs tool. So we now communication using tools of communication in this class. What is tool in this class? Words, right? Words and language. Without language, we don't communicate. What could be tool in economic system?
Money.
Yes, money. So we exchange the value, we exchange importance, we exchange information in economic system using money. Money is the language of economic system. In education system, what could be communication tool? Economic communication. No. Educational communication. 그리고 교육 소통 언어는 뭐죠? 교육의 소통 언어. What could be tool to communicate in an education system? If you insist you are a very important person, you're a very important person out of educational system. 여러분이 굉장히 중요한 사람이다. 교육에 있어서. 그럼 뭘 내세워요? What could be a tool?
Knowledge.
Knowledge, okay? and then you apply to Samsung, you apply to be faculty of the units in the future. So you show your knowledge every time. So they believe your knowledge. Great. Okay. Okay. You understand, right? Knowledge is very good tools, but degree and grade, right? So without grade, 학점 없이, you study very hard in this class. If I say right now, so you don't have to worry about the grade. So after this one, and then I will give you all A plus. Do you think you can study? This is very important message. Without tool to communicate each other in effective way, tool is very important. That's why we use grade and degree. Without grade, without degree, I don't think people like me, including myself, don't study. And how about the notch? How about the notch? So without grade, without degree, 학점, 학위 없이 여러분 열심히 공부할 수 있고 연구할 수 있고 또 그게 사회에서 인정받을 수 있는 뭔가 커뮤니케이션 툴을 만들 수가 있다면 얼마나 좋을까 이런 생각 해본 적은 없어요. Okay? We made, right? Using different theory, using different tools of communication in many different systems, we make a society new. And then, again, economic systems. Money is important, right? Money is tool. We communicate through money. What is environment with economic system? 뭐 경제 시스템에서 환경은 뭘까요? Because we are environmental engineer, okay? We would like to contribute to our economic system in our society. So we make clean water by removing fine particles. We would like to provide clean water and safe water for our society so that the people communicate with the money in economic system. That's the every responsibility of us as an environmental engineer. 여러분 그렇게 생각하세요? 우리가 깨끗한 공기를 공급하고 물도 깨끗하게 하고 용산 대통령 관사 밑에 토양을 깨끗하게 하고 이게 우리가 이 사회를 할 수 있는 일이다. 이렇게 생각하세요? Okay, that's true. Okay, that's a responsibility to make the air clean, water safer than ever. That's the very big responsibility. But to confine our responsibility and role inside these types of that, they never care about us, right? They pay instead. They pay to buy clean water. They never communicate with us. You know what I'm saying? Okay? So they need what? Air, clean, soil. But there are some system to buy air, water, and soil. So they never care about these environmental engineer. Instead, they pay. How about the toilet system? Without toilet, we cannot imagine sanitary life and safe life right now. But they care about enough to give us value, to give us motivation. No, probably not. They never cared about the toilet. So they use toilet, flush that out, and pay. They pay. So they never care about. That's the why we have a crisis right now. I believe. Environmentalists believe. So they use fossil fuel more than enough. The freely, without any restriction, without any motivation, without any freedom. And they pay, right? They pay carbon tax. So do you believe we can study, or we can still use fossil fuel by paying carbon tax? 그렇게 믿으세요? 그리고 탄소세만 내면 여전히 화석연료를 계속 써도 된다 생각하세요? But we don't have any language. We don't have any tool as environmental engineer right now. We prefer to have our own language to communicate with other persons. But right now, we don't have any language at all as environmental. That's why we have a crisis right now. We have a problem. Houston, we have a problem as environmental engineer. They only pay. So we are not servant, right? We are not servant. Right now, we have to understand the philosophy of the engineering, philosophy of economic, philosophy of education, philosophy of digital technology in terms of value right now. And then we come up with some situations where we use our own language to communicate to other persons from economic, politics, especially the public. Let me take these examples. Electricity. Do you recognize this electricity? Which energy source generated this electricity? 여러분 이 전기를 보면 이게 이 색깔로 봐서 지금 원자력에서 왔다 이렇게 구별되세요? No, right? So we just pay, right? In exchange of electricity usage. But how about this one? Even if we don't have any discrepancies, distinctions of energy resources, when you enter and you push the button of this one. And how about we have a different option? Here, nuclear power. You take it. And then some other persons prefer to use wind power, for example. So you push the wind power button, right? And then after usage, after months, you pay electricity with a different charge. How about that? Okay, this is only my idea. So then, even if we do not have any resources out of Hanjeon, TEPCO, Korean power supply, government institutions, and then you pay differently. And then they have options. Government recognize, or electricity supplier recognize the people, some portion of people prefer to use nuclear power rather than wind power, solar panel power, bioenergy power. If you prefer to use bioenergy out of food, for example, okay, methane, and then you select those resources and to pay more. If you get in, hop in electricity bus, so just simply tap your credit card to get in, right? But there are different options. Electric, the bus, and then you select wind power to pay 1,000. But if you select biogas power, 1,201, a little bit higher prices, right? But you have a motivation to use bio or solar panel. according to your preference, according to your philosophy, towards our vision, towards the future. That's the language, right? So you communicate by selecting different energy source and being converted into language of communication with environmental engineering. And then we have another language to be used to do communication inside environment. Otherwise, they take a side of environmental engineering. They never allow us to be a part of this discussion, even with the climate change crisis. So that's the one single idea. Then you design the theory. How about the toilet? So if you get in the toilet to solve your problem, right? And you drop the poo or you drop the urine, and then there are a couple of different options. Imagine, okay? And then you drop your poo, and a couple of different toilet options. So one option. So to mention that if you use this toilet, they said you design it, okay? And your poo with water going to wastewater treatment plant, similarly or exactly same as right now we use, and then you pay wastewater charge. The second options, you actually shift the second room with a different toilet. They says, okay, if you use this one, we have a special facilities to turn your poo into bioenergy. And to do some contribution without any water uses, waterless toilet. In addition to that, we can make bioenergy, methane being converted into electricity to be used our campus bus, for example. And then we have a selection. Okay. Which one do you prefer to use it? But if you use this one, you pay somewhat more. But if you design the new currency, rather than government money, okay, that's the language, actually. We don't have enough language right now. Electric language, only one language, right? Only one language is not the language any longer. If you electricity option, if you have toilet options, wastewater options, then we have a language for environmental engineering. You understand? Okay, that's through all different things. How about the ethic? Okay, we'll get to that next week, right? Okay, next week, Thursday. What is ethic? Couple of different options. Of definition. Do you think you are a good person or you are better? Do you think? Or do you think you are hypocrisy, for example? 여러분 어떻게 생각하세요? 여러분 진짜 좋은 사람이라고 생각하세요? 혹은 여러분은 나는 내 자신을 볼 때 뭔가 좀 악마 같은 면이 있다. 또 다른 생각은 뭐냐면 나는 악마인데 위선자는 아니야. 이런 생각을 할 수도 있잖아요, 그렇죠? Okay. So combine every definitions of the good, devil, and hypocrisy. hypocrisy 맞나요? 위선자? Okay, hypocrisy. So we define those. Do you agree? Do you agree we can solve the problem using self-help? How about that? If you have a problem, sometimes you hit by the person who did the crime, right? Who did the crime, and then do you think it's morally or ethically right to revenge? What do you think? Instead, you sue and appeal to law system, right? System of law under government. Sometimes they don't care. Very minor one, or even big one that they don't care about. So under COVID crisis, especially 2021, some movie and the drama, they took this topic of self-help. For example, 악마 판사, 빈센조. Think about those drama. So they used self-help, 자력구제. Why people suddenly be interested in this topic? 이거 그런 생각 안 해봤어요. 자력구제가 왜 영화나 드라마에서 꾸준하게 다루어지는지 한번 생각해 본 적이 있어요? Okay, that's the illegal, right? Self-help is illegal. Do you think it's bad? Okay, how about that? How about that? Yes, bad. And illegal? Do you agree? Everything, every cases of the crime. How about the Gwangju, the long time ago, 90s? Couple of 1,000 persons killed by dictator, right? But the law system. So I'm talking about the system with the law. Solve this one fully enough. How about the Jeju 43. Actually, a lot of persons sacrificed and they killed, but still remained persons. How about that? That's illegal, right? But it's still bad. Too bad, actually. How about the Sewol Perry? Do you think that everyone is solved already? No. Legally right, probably, maybe legally right, but morally, ethically, how about that? Okay, so system is like that. We have a law system, we have an environmental system, we have an education system, we have an economic system. There are a lot of different options to be selected, but only one language, right? In economic system, there is money, only one money. How about the Bitcoin is different money? Yes, but the Bitcoin can be cashable, right? So value is one. Value is one. This is one language. I propose a different money. Some of you had recognized I propose a physics standard money. 똥보니 화폐. Okay, if you take a search in a website, there are money of a physics standard money. Okay, value lies in the human physics. Okay, but nobody uses it, right? Nobody uses it. Why? It's not cashable. A different language. This much economic system, our currency, the government currency is powerful. If you follow this one legally, ethically, we cannot change this world at all. If you adopt a very good idea under the same value of unit of account, legally, seemingly it looks like a change our world, but actually not. They have a system, all the surrounding you mentioned, to be environment. The environment, the public and the people, we have to always follow their guideline, their law, their strategic, their policy. Okay, that's the right now the situations. So what? How we overcome this one? To make money and to change the world? No way. That's the nonsense. We have to develop our own language. For the person, for the public. Okay, that's my idea. You don't have to work. You don't have to worry. But environmental engineer, we do not have any language at all because we are environment. Some person inside the system, they isolate, but they have a language. Over money, over degree, right? If you graduate from university in local, Ulsan and Masan, Changwon, there is still degree, right? But we believe those degree is relatively underscored compared to degree from university in Seoul. But they have still language of degree. But as environmental engineer, do you think we have a language? No, we don't have any language at all. That's the message from this class. We have to make our own language, whatever that is. This is the message from me. Okay, so just a couple of days, you think of this one, and after this semester, you may forget everything. But sometimes in the future, if you have difficulties, if you have crisis in your life, please remember this moment. If you have your own language, even if you do not have any money and wealth and power, but you still survive. You have enough motivation to live. But without language, and then you always follow their guideline, UN guideline, Korean government guideline, US people's guideline. You want? Okay, follow that. Okay. I don't care. But we are person. We are person. We are individual. We are human to stand alone. Okay. As environmental engineer, of course, we do every dirty work, right? We do every dirty work, but they never care. So we have to counterattack, I believe, using effective way. How many string do you have? How many string do you have? 여러분 줄이 몇 개쯤 가지고 있어요? 여러분 줄 몇 개 가지고 있어요? 부모님 줄. 그 다음 유니스트 졸업하면 줄이 생길 것 같습니까? You can use your string, right? String to go upstairs, the higher levels. But if you have a string, someone actually pulled your string, right? That's the important message. But if you design your own, nobody pull your own string and language. Okay? So this is a reference book, and we discussed this one. And the quiz, I may give you very short questions to answer to those one. Don't worry, okay. Don't worry about the case. So already you give your the best effort. Okay, so I consider that. So I decide, because I'm the last faculty, so to decide your grade. And any questions? Any questions, suggestions? Even in Korean, it's okay. 질문 혹시 코멘트나 제안 없으세요? 네, 빨리 끝내요. Okay, thank you, and see you next Tuesday. Thank you. 네.